Greetings, GeoNerds. Today we're going to talk about geoglyphs. This is markings made in the rock by us. These are in Nazca in Peru. These are over 2,000 years old, some even older. But mate, they're nothing compared to Australia. We've got this.
What is it, son? I don't know, sir. But it looks like a giant dick.
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard.
4.2 kilometres. 4.2 kilometres, 28 kilometres round, and it's an awesome thing in the South Australian desert. And of course, he has a massive set of privates. Well, folks, these are a sample of the Nazca lines in Peru. These were made by the Nazca people over 2,000 years ago, and possibly an earlier culture, the Paracas culture, as well. What they're for, we don't know. That's a hummingbird, by the way. There are thousands of them. They're there. How they did them, we don't know. Now, we've got something like this in Australia. So this is about the height of a geostationary satellite. And I thought we'd drop in. We haven't done a geostationary drop in for a while. It's like, it's 30,000 kilometres up. So she's a long way up. We're not quite above the equator, which we should be. But yeah, Australia looks better. And we're going into South Australia. And we're going to a beautiful little area called Maree, and there's another little place there called William Creek. If you ever want to go and see this, William Creek's probably the place to see it from, because I think they've got an airfield there. So that's Maree, the little town. It's not much. It's just a little outback post, servo. A few people live there, mining and grazing support. And over here, sometime in 1998, this appeared in the desert. A 4.5 kilometre high statue, well, geoglyph, not statue, of an Aboriginal hunter. And it's a bit of a mystery because nobody still knows who did it. We have some ideas. So let's have a closer look at this on the ground, because it's pretty cool. It really is. Well, folks, this is what it looks like from the ground. It's about a foot or 35 centimetres in the new money, cut obviously with one of these. So it's a bulldozer. This was not a bulldozer. This was done with a grader. It's 28 kilometres round. And there's a whole pile of these out there. These are survey sticks. The one down in the hole's the original, but there's others there now too. So this thing is fairly impressive. Let's have a look at where it is. This is the tableland it's on. I'll outline him for you. And it is actually a tableland. And it's made out of some rock that's quite interesting. So, you know, this being T-rocks and all, I think we should have a look at the geology. So here is a satellite shot of it from space. I'll bring the geology up. It's quite complex. South Australia has very complex geology, but it's all quaternary. So this is an old lake or inland sea, and what's on top of all this is sand. And it's about 2.5 to 3 million years old, the yellow stuff there, and it's very fragile. It's got that desert crust on it, and if you break it, it's broken for good. So let's just, there he is again from the air this time. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks. So they didn't go around this once. They've gone around this 6 times. So that's a lot of work. Let's have a little look at the maths on that. So 28 kilometres, 6 tracks, 1 blade wide on a grader. That's a lot of work. Let's have a think. How fast does a grader go? Africa to European grader, but we'll just work on an Australian grader. As you can see, this is a grader working. They get about 4 or 5 kilometres an hour, depending on the blade and how hard they're going. But there's some numbers for you. 33 hours of continuous grading to do it. 670 litres of fuel. You don't carry that in jerry cans. That's got to come in a fuel truck. And you got to have water. You got to have food. This is a hot place all the time. It's cold for 2 minutes a year. So yeah, this is a serious job. Almost no way this was done by one person. This would have had to be done by a team, maybe a small team, but a team of people. And it would have taken quite some time to do because someone's got to go out and survey this thing. And in 1998 when it was made, surveying isn't what it is today. So who done it? Well, there's a lot of these out there and they tried to run these down and work out who did it, but nah, it's still a bit of a mystery. But there are some hypotheses. So, yeah, you can see the table end in this, so it's a really nice shot actually. Whoever chose this knew the area very well. So, in Australia there's a bloke called Dick Smith, and he's offered a $5,000 reward to anyone who can give him information who done it. Now, they actually think this bloke done it. He's a South Australian artist, and unfortunately he's passed away now. But they think he did it. They also think someone from here, Olympic Dam. Now, Olympic Dam's a big mine site. They mine gold, silver, copper and uranium. It's 100 k's away, but South Australian desert, 100 k's, someone's driveway. So there's a road that goes straight to that site. Now, who would be a problem that would have earth moving equipment and surveying skills and equipment? No evidence though. No evidence at all. So folks, here's the original geoglyph where he's more anatomically complete and you can see his...
Willie? Yeah. What's that? Wow, it looks like a giant... Johnson!
So as you can see in this image, folks, he started to fade. So a bunch of locals, with the permission and the blessing of the local Aboriginal people who now own this land, they didn't own this land when this was done. So is this an act of environmental vandalism? It's certainly an act of criminal trespass in its day. So you can see why no one wants to come forward, because they are crimes. But anyway, they decided they'd renew it. And this is what they've done. They've cleaned up his act a little bit with the, removing of some of his more anatomically correct components, but it should last a while longer. They've cut it a bit deeper and they've cut it a bit wider, so it should be interesting. So, folks, this is an infrared Landsat photo from the year in the early 2000s. As you can see, this thing's well carved. Now, it's carved through a heap of Aboriginal history up there. They bulldozed straight through artefacts and campsites and whatever. So, it is an act of vandalism. I still think it's cool, but it's there now. Even the local Indigenous people said, well, it's here now, it brings prosperity to the area. Let's hang on to it, which is a very nice attitude. I quite like it. So, folks, if you find yourself down that way on the Udnadatta track, William Creek Hotel got the aircraft there, can take you to see it from the air. That Cessna, that Skylane RG, I've got an endorsement of a 172 RG, and nearly every Cessna you see land with a gear stuck up, it's one of those. Just saying. Anyway, there's also the beautiful Murray Hotel and the little town you can visit there as well. This site is 60 kilometres from those towns. It's not like over the back fence, and they're not allowed to go in there anymore because people were doing the wrong things, doing doughies in the four-wheel drives, etc. Well, folks, you know what I'm going to say. If you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. Do we have an act of environmental vandalism, cultural misappropriation, an artwork of an Aboriginal by an Aboriginal, criminal trespass, and probably half a dozen other things. But it is awesome. There's just no question of that. And even the local Indigenous people have now begun to accept it for what it is, because the damage has been done. You can't undo it. It is the way it is. So I'm going to tell you to keep rocking, and it's going to be T-Rocks out. But I just want to say one last thing about this geoglyph. It is almost certainly on this planet has the biggest set of